glad you have hopefully been turning.
Okay, cool. See? Steven, if you can smile a little bit more.
I was picking up on your frowny face.
Open your mouth. You got it on your teeth.
Thanks. That's why I asked you.
Well, this is brand new. Yeah, it's off now.
All right.
Little cheese lick. Take 3.
Focus.
Teaching 4, take 4, and 3.
I'm tired of smiling.
2.
It's fake. Fake as all get out. I feel like people are like, he's faking it. He's faking it. He's faking it. You don't want to smile.
Hi, thank you for joining us today on Dufresne Faith Journal. Today, we want to focus on being generous.
A couple weeks ago, you called me and said, I want to give a certain amount to a minister. And we had a lot of things at that time. It started looking like things were really getting tight for us, in the natural. And being a man, you really have to put those thoughts down of casting that care of where the money's going to come from. Something the Lord talked to me a couple weeks ago about was about the Bible talks about working a good and honest job that you may be able to give to others. One thing that Christians have to remember, we got to rely on God for finances and things like that. And me and my wife will now endeavor for the rest of our lives to make sure that we are always going to be givers. We're always going to be believing God for the money we need. A lot of people can look at their financial things, maybe the sale of a home, maybe business deals to come through, and nowhere in the Word does it say to rely on those items. And something I think Christians do, and people in general, is we can get caught up in believing for those items to come to pass for your finances rather than believing God for the finances. It's a different faith. It's you're believing for something in the natural to happen, but when God can actually take care of you, and people got their stuff mixed up.
That's right. They're waiting to move when God's put something on their heart.
Right.
They're waiting to move till everything is in place.
Right.
And when we found this home, our lease was going to be up in February of this year. I was scheduled to have the baby 3 weeks after we were supposed to be out of the home we were renting. And so we were on a time crunch, and here comes December, end of November, we still didn't have a home.
And we told the people that we were leasing from that we were
we had
done.
already committed that we were done. We knew
without
in our
knowing
heart.
a place, I believe.
We didn't know where we were going to go, but we knew it was the end of our stay there. And so when we had decided to start upping our search for homes, we had found some that we maybe kind of wanted to move towards, but we just knew it wasn't right. And then within a week of this home coming on the market, we came and looked at it, and we put in an offer for a lease option to buy. Somebody had already put in an offer with more money down, and we wrote them a letter, and we knew this was our place. We knew it had everything.
It feels good in your spirit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. When you walk in a home, and most of the time, it's going to be more than what you can actually afford. Then that's what I've realized when I go to all these homes. Every time I would feel good in my spirit, it was a home that was beyond what we could actually reach for.
It was a stretch, and we knew it was.
You have to watch that when you're believing God for something, that you don't dismiss that, because God's trying to get you into some things, and there's always a stretch in faith, and people think, oh, it'll just be so easy. It'll be, look, that is there for you to grow in faith, and God will put that inside of you. It's like when you go look at vans or cars or something, when they show you the nicer car, you're like, oh, this is nice. This is real nice. And it makes a longing for it, and God will put that in your spirit. And He did in this home.
He did. We knew that this was this was not something that we had decided ourselves. If you decide on something yourself outside of the leading of the Spirit, outside of peace, because we know that we've been taught joy and peace.
Or on your budget.
Or on your budget. So we had joy and peace in believing. That's when you know you're in your measure of faith. Do you have joy and do you have peace? We had joy and peace about this place. And we've been to many homes that we didn't have joy and peace with.
Right.
We had joy because we liked it, but we didn't have peace about it.
Well, there's times you could walk in the front door of another home and go, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
You didn't even need to walk through the rest of the home. You just knew it wasn't.
Yes. And so if you've got peace about starting a business, about buying a new home, about moving into some divine ideas that God has given you, follow the joy, follow the peace. But not only that, like my husband said, it's going to be easy on your spirit, but it's going to be a stretch on your flesh.
It's hard on the flesh, and you have to get out of your mind and get in your spirit and follow what God tells you to do.
So when we came into this home, we were, I would say, a couple thousand short every month according to our budget. And if we were to look at our budget, I showed him, and we needed a home to sell. We needed some other things financially to fall in place for us to, on paper, afford this home. Now again, this is at the leading of the Spirit. This is not something we advise everybody to just go out and do. But we knew God, for us to be able to be the supply to the ministry, to Pastor Nancy, for us to get into and fund this ministry, fund the revival, fund miracle signs and wonders that we want to see happen in people's lives. God's going to have to stretch us personally. So we had agreed, we were in agreement, like we talked about last episode, we were in agreement, saying the same thing. We stayed generous. We didn't tighten up. We didn't change the way we lived. We didn't go to the grocery store and say, well, we can't buy this now, we can't buy that now.
Now, that doesn't mean the thought didn't come.
The thought came.
Right.
The thought came
That's
many
the difference.
times. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't buy this. The temptation's there. Well, what's on sale? To go just look for what's on sale. And we had decided we're not doing that.
Right. And remember, doing that will keep you out of God's prosperity, because how in the world would God ever be able to prosper you if you always go into the clearance rack?
That's right.
Or living in, like she said, the cheaper stuff.
That's
God
right.
can't prosper you. You can't live in the God kind of prosperity doing that. You just can't.
And so when we had signed, in fact, we had so much favor that the couple that we are buying the home from, they allowed us, they took it off the market for 3 months.
3 months.
To hold it for us.
And they weren't even living in it.
They weren't even living in it. Took it off the home.
They're paying a payment for a home they're not even
Yes. They already had another home. They're ready to sell this one. They took it off the market, held it for us till we could move in, till our lease was up at the other location. I had the baby. We moved about 3 weeks after I had the baby. So we had medical bills coming up. There was a lot more things on the table financially. We kept giving. We kept being generous. We kept taking money and saying, all right, we've got $200 extra. Where do you want to sow it? And so we stayed generous. We did our diligence and did our budget, but we knew we weren't going to live by that. Our home ended up not selling, which is what we need to happen.
On the time that we thought it should be.
On the time, yes.
But it comes back to what I told you about we need to rely on God and not things.
Yes.
God is our provider,
That's
not
right.
the seller of these things. And people think this needs to sell that can manifest. That's wrong.
We'll move when this happens.
Right.
We'll do this
Right.
when this happens. And so we just took a step of faith and said, no, we're going for it. And
going for it.
We're sitting here today. We've paid all the hospital bills.
Right.
We have paid all of our bills on time, in full. All of our credit cards are paid. And we actually have more money in our account than when we moved into this house.
Praise
so
God.
only God can do that. But
Right.
had we have taken a step back and not said yes to the plan of God for the next thing He had, because it was more than just a home, and we knew that it was to get us to a greater level of trusting Him.
Right.
The greater we can trust Him in our personal lives for financially, the greater understanding we have of His care and His provision for healing, for peace in the home, for restoring families.
Yeah.
And we want to see miracle signs and wonders. That's our greatest desire. And we understand that God is not only a miracle worker financially, but He's a miracle worker in every arena of your life. He can do exactly what He said He'll do, and He wants to do that for you.
And Mort, we could talk about this stuff for a long time.
Oh, yes.
But we want to tell you, tune in next time. This stuff is important, and watch it in the correct order, and it'll bless you. We'll see you next time.